Hello guys, and welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to data science with Python. So basically in today's class we are still going to talk about some pandas operation, and the main operation that we are going to talk about today will be joining operation. So basically does this mean? It's pretty simple. So let's say you guys have two databases and you want to join them together. So putting those two databases together. To do this, you will be using the join function, and you'll see it's not really hard to do, and it can make really good results. All right, so before we start, what we'll do is pretty simple. We'll import the pandas extension. All right, so when this is done, what we'll do right now, we'll create our two databases. So basically the list that will be used inside of our database. So we'll work with the exact same thing. So we will work with foods, and it's going to be really simple. So the first list will be called food one. So here we'll have our food one, and basically we'll have the number, the name of the food, and the price of the food. So basically the same thing that we used in the past class that we did. So basically for the number of the food, we'll have numbers from 1 to 5. So we'll have number 2 points, so from 1 to 5. Then we'll have the name of our foods. Here we go. So for the names, like always, we'll have apple, banana, chips, popcorns, and pizza. So pretty simple. So chips, popcorn, and finally pizza. All right. And finally, the last thing that we will have will be the price of our foods. So as always, here we'll have our price. All right. So here we'll enter the prices. So let's say it's going to be some random numbers. So let's say 2, 6, 4, 3, 5. Here we go. So we have our prices. So we have our numbers, we have our names, we have our foods, we have our prices. All right. So this would be for the first part. Then we'll create our second list for our second database or data frame. We'll call it food 2. And inside of this list, we will have some other variables. So here we'll enter colors, weights, and finally quantities. So let's say colors will be, in this case, so we'll call it color. So for apple, it's gonna be red. For banana, it's gonna be yellow. For chips, it's gonna be orange. For popcorn, it's gonna be white. And for pizza, it's gonna be let's say blue, because we're having a blue pizza. And finally, the last thing that we are going to use, well, we have two other things, sorry. So we'll have the weight. So the weight in, let's say, I don't know, gram. So weight. Let's say for the weight, it's going to be, in this case, here we go. All right, then for the weight, what we'll have, let's say 100 grams, 200 grams, 150, 175, and finally 225. Great. Finally, the last thing that we are going to have will be the quantity. Here we go. And we can enter it right here. So basically for the quantity, let's say it's gonna be 1, 2, 1, 3, 4. Great, so we have everything that we need. So we have our database, our list for the food 1, our list for the food 2. Next thing that we wanna do is really create our data frame. So basically we'll create the formula to create our data frame. Just a quick parenthesis, it's possible to write down a line of code that will automatically create the data frame and at the same time enter all this list of things that we will use inside of a data frame. But once again, since I assume that you guys are doing this for the first time, I'm going in 2 steps. So basically we are entering everything right here and then we are creating the data frame. So basically we'll have table 1 in this case. And as always, we'll use the Pandas extension, data frame, and we'll enter food 1. We'll do the exact same thing for food 2. Here we go, so we have our table. Then we want to do the exact same thing for the food number 2, as I said. So here we start using our Pandas extensions. Then what we'll do, we'll fusion everything together. So as like in the past class, we use the fusion variable. We'll do the exact same thing. We'll give it the exact same name. So it's gonna be fusion. But in this case, we will work with the join function. So how exactly does this work? So basically we'll use the table number 1. So it's gonna be table number 1 dot, and then we'll write down our join function. So basically join, we wanna join table number 1 with table number 2. So in this case, we have our table number 1 right here that we just created that will use the data frame of all the elements inside of the list right here. And we want to join this table 1 with the table 2 that have been created right here that will use all the elements of the list right here. So when everything is done, what we want to do is simply print our fusion variable. So we simply print fusion. Here we go. So when everything is done, we can simply run the app. And as you can see, we will have our 2 data frames right here mixed together. So basically, as you can see, we'll have number 1. It's going to be apple. The price of the apple will be $2. The color of the apple is red. The weight is 100 grams. And finally, the quantity will be 1. So what have we done? It's pretty simple. We simply joined or put it together the list right here, or the database that is content right here that works with the list right here, and the data frame or the database that is right here and that works with the list right here. So as you can see, it's pretty simple to do, and it can be a really effective operation. We can do, well, there are plenty of things that you guys can do with it, but those are just the basics of what you can do with a joining operation. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.